WNBA Power Rankings, Playoff Ready. With the 2025 WNBA regular season drawn to a close, a year defined by surging stars, shocking slumps, and emerging narratives will shape the postseason and potentially the league's future. The final week of the season delivered drama in spades, including playoff berths clinched on the last night, MVP cases made and broken, and young franchises staking their claim on relevance. With the WNBA playoffs already officially underway, let's assess who's really rising and falling around the league, not just by wins and losses, but by form, momentum, roster health, chemistry, and postseason viability. 1. Las Vegas Aces. The Aces closed the season as the hottest team in the league, riding into the playoffs with a massive 16-game winning streak. Their turnaround has been remarkable. Coming into the late season, they were outside or on the edge of home court advantage contention, but they surged to secure the number 2 seed. Aya Wilson took over and put the team on her back, boosting her MVP stock as a result. The Aces bench also stepped up, and they found consistency at both ends. In the final week, every win counted for positioning, and they didn't back off. Their momentum going into the first round gives them a real shot at going deep. 2. Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota had the best regular season overall record, finishing with the best winning percentage and earning the number 1 seed. They were incredibly consistent all season, led by their core veterans and with strong depth. However, in the last week they lost to Las Vegas, which broke their streak and exposed some cracks, especially when Napheesa Collier was returning from injury. Still, as the top seed, they enter the playoffs with home court advantage, experience, and momentum. Their pedigree and performance over 40-plus games make them a strong favorite. 3. Atlanta Dream. The Dream finished the regular season right near the top, and by the final week, they were clearly solidified as a top-seed contender in the Eastern Conference. Their offense, especially with Alisha Gray, stepped up when it mattered. They lost a few critical head-to-head tiebreakers, notably versus the Aces, but still managed to lock a high seed. Atlanta may not have quite matched Vegas' late surge, but the team's consistency, ability to close out regular season games, and relatively clean health going into the playoffs make them dangerous. The Dream deserve recognition for earning their place as one of the top 3 squads in the WNBA this year. 4. Phoenix Mercury. The Mercury have had a good season, in spite of some rough patches against the top of the league, especially late. In the last week, they were fighting for seeding that determined home court in the first round and managed to secure their spot safely in the upper half of the W. Their offense is dangerous, they've shown they can steal games, and their depth production has improved. But there are still a few question marks, including around how well they can match up with the very top under playoff intensity. The Mercury season series against the likes of Las Vegas and Atlanta didn't work out in their favor, which may hurt them. They rose to the top 4 with momentum and are poised to enter the playoffs as a threat. 5. New York Liberty. The defending champions came into the final week with something to prove, and they did well enough, but their season still ended with some turbulence. Injuries to key players like Breanna Stewart, Jonquil Jones, and Sabrina Ionescu at times disrupted their rhythm. Still, they closed out by showing flashes of dominance. The Liberty may have dropped down a few seeds in playoff positioning, but their experience in tight games and postseason toughness keep them very high favorites in almost any matchup. The concern is whether they've already peaked for this campaign, which would keep them just a half step behind the very best. 6. Golden State Valkyries. For an expansion team, the Valkyries have had a surprisingly strong season. They clinched a playoff berth in their inaugural season and finished with a winning record and some impressive wins despite a late skid. The final week was rough, 3 straight losses, including 2 to the Lynx, which dropped them from a better seed to number 8. That said, the Valkyries' trajectory and the way they built chemistry make them dangerous in a first-round matchup. They aren't yet in the top tier, but they deserve respect for making the postseason and could play spoiler. 7. Indiana Fever. The Fever had a solid season, particularly considering injuries, most notably to Caitlin Clark and preseason expectations. They clinched a playoff berth and had some dramatic wins that showed they can hang with good teams. However, consistency late in the campaign was a problem. They didn't close out as strongly as Las Vegas or Atlanta, and their road record under pressure sometimes faltered. They're in the middle of the playoff pack, good enough to win a round,